Okay, so going on from that, so the other question is why is there a poor uptake in the sport with regards to youngsters coming in? Why do you think this is? I mean, obviously there's 101 reasons, but
yeah, so I was going to say it's 8:10. We'll keep going to midnight with this question.
I know.
Can I just answer this one first? Yeah, I would turn it around. I don't think there's a poor uptake as such. I think the problem is that there's a poor record of kind of keeping players in the game.
Yeah.
For example, after school clubs, there's never usually any problem of getting enough to fill the kind of class. Then the next problem is getting the players from the after school club to the main club session. So the initial uptake is quite good usually. And then you'll even the club level, a lot of clubs have a lot of juniors, and even some of them are full. Look at Chelmsford, it's ridiculous. They've got hundreds. I don't know exactly how many, but I think the problem is keeping the players in the game beyond kind of age 15, 16, 18, whatever. And I think the reason for that is that they've got
Girls
so many other...
Girls and beer.
Girls and beer, yeah.
Yeah.
They've also got so many other activities they can be doing. They've got schoolwork. I think the kind of times have changed a bit. I mean, it's probably the same with other sports as well. But yeah, I wouldn't say that the initial uptake itself is that low. I mean,
so it's just holding them then. Basically, it's just holding them or trying to keep them in the game.
Keeping them in the game, and that's the kind of difficult aspect, I would say.
I see Rory said there about
distractions.
Yeah, so the school stuff, the after school clubs and stuff. Yeah, I've seen. I get plenty. Probably in any given week, I probably work with about 250 kids across different schools, but it is just school stuff. It's after school clubs, and they don't see anything outside of it. There's no table tennis structure, and you talk to them or you talk to the parents, and it's not on their radar. They understand. Parents understand. It's going to sound a little bit sexist here, unfortunately, but the guys, the dads, they understand football because they've all done it. The women, mums maybe gymnastics. In Cornwall, we've got a gymnastics centre. The waiting list is months and months and months. They've done it, and they bring their daughters and sons through. Table tennis, I think, again, if we look at the age gap, we miss a lot between 25 and 45. Players don't play. You said it yourself, Ali, yeah? So they're not bringing their sons and daughters into table tennis at that age either. And having the family thing there, which we might be seeing in these other sports. I think that's a big thing. If we haven't got people playing in that 25 to 45 age group, they're not going to bring their kids into the game. I think that's a big thing myself. And there's loads of reasons, other reasons too.
Would you guys agree to that sort of scenario? It's just it's not as if we can't get the kids. It's just the fact that how do we keep them really from that age?
You go into schools now with like working to swerve. I go into schools, and years ago you would get kids coming through from the schools, but now you go into the schools and the school kids love it because it's a brilliant sport. But now they don't come from the school, so getting them to transfer from the school to the club is a major issue. When you're in the school itself, you think to yourself, I've handed out all them leaflets and the kids are going to say, oh yeah, I want to come, I'm definitely going to come, what time is it? And then you wait the next day for them to come and they don't come anymore. And that never used to be the case, but in the last 5-10 years, I feel that that's definitely got more and more like that all the time. But I think the biggest problem table tennis has got, unlike any other sport, is media attention. We do not have enough media attention.
Yeah, I did put it. Yeah, it's just okay. It's not on the radar. We don't have that TV coverage, those role models, and I hear. And obviously, this was before my time, but so many people in the veteran circuit talk about the '77 games in Birmingham and what that did. I was a year and a half old when that happened, so it's before my time. But that kind of event, from what I gather, it got so many people playing, and obviously the kids got to, but the parents or the older people, they were into it as well. And they could then they could build it, and we don't really have that, sadly.
It was, I don't know if any of you remember it, but unfortunately I am old enough, and it was the most incredible thing that I've ever witnessed. It was all day, every day for a fortnight, just hour after hour of table tennis, just every match going. It was just the most amazing thing. And obviously Des was about at the time and at the top of his career. I think England sent about a dozen players into it. It was an amazing event, and it was incredibly well televised as well. They really did a good job of it. And unfortunately, since then, it's the media's let it go.
There's a big
it's a strange scenario, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's that whole thing about people not seeing it as a sport as well. You know, I last summer, or just before summer, my stepson was going into year 7, so we did the whole visiting the schools and everything. Lots of new skills, but they've all got outdoor tables. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's just seen as a little bit of, you know, a game. So people
almost like a mess about sport as opposed to a sport.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've never, you know, seen so many tables in schools and stuff, outdoor tables, permanent tables. But yeah, it's just seen as a bit of a, it's great seeing it's a bit of fun, but it's not taken seriously, unfortunately.
I have a different spin on it.
Yeah, go Elroy.
Initially, I blame the governing body. And the governing body doesn't look into, I mean, you had Desmond Douglas. They didn't make the most of that. You have Drinkle. How many did Drinkle won the...
Liam Pitchford and Drinkle.
Drinkle first. Drinkle won it about 4 times first, right?
Probably more.
Or more.
6 times. They both won it 6 times.
Then Pitchford. You as a governing body supposed to be using your marketing team to put these guys out. Every school should know, if you care about the sport, you're supposed to be putting the money in to market these guys so people know who Liam Pitchford is, who Paul Drinkle is. And if you ask, even table tennis youngsters doesn't know who they are.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think yeah, it's how they market it really, and what they should be doing to market it, to make it.
One of the things that doesn't help is, you know, and honestly, it's a bloody difficult game. It's a really exciting game once you get good at it.
But it's hard to learn, isn't it?
It's so difficult.
It's hard to learn. It's a hard to learn game. I mean, someone said to me, it's like, you know, it's like, I don't know, playing chess at 100 miles an hour. You know, it's a hard game to learn. It's not like you can grab a football and get a load of kids round and they can start kicking a football straight away. It's hours and hours and hours and hours of learning of how to actually play, and it's not just hitting the ball over the net. It's the spins, it's the pace, it's the.
I think that's the problem with it, with table tennis. Why you're not getting a lot of youngsters in?
It's difficult to learn. It's difficult to learn. I think a lot of it is. It's difficult to learn.
The thing that gets me is when you get people up to a good level, and they obviously, you know, they've gone through that and they've played and they enjoyed it. What I can't understand why they'd suddenly stop enjoying it, or, you know, not want to keep playing when they've got put all the time in and they've got to a good level. I mean, for me, if I like something, I like it. I don't just suddenly stop liking it. So
I'd like to say to you, put my opinion. I think I can possibly answer that. So first of all, poor uptake in table tennis. I agree with Rory. Definitely, there is a great uptake, and I'll give you a quick example. When I was at Harefield, we had the Watford Academy. The Watford Academy had 16 coaches. I was one coach. I had 80 kids on my program. They had 120 kids with £2 million budget. So you can see that it's not necessarily the uptake. It's the big difference between us and the other sports is the structure of where can they go. So I had 80 kids, and in my program it was a full-time program, and the kids felt like, okay, I can do something special here. But my fall rate was quite quick, and the Watford football, you know, they had loads stay. Why? Because they could see that they could potentially earn millions. They could potentially be on billboards. They could potentially be playing in front of 50,000 people. in table tennis, we don't have that. But this is where the difference is. If you go to China and India, which I've just been to India, they have 1.3 billion people. China has 1.3 billion people. Why does China have so many table tennis players compared to India? Because of the structure. If you go into any industry, so for example, if I go into a local shop and I get a job there, 90% of the time I'm thinking, well, in 6 months' time, I'm going to go and get another job somewhere else. I need to see a ladder for me to grow. In China, you go around, you've got billboards of all the top athletes. They're drinking Coca-Cola. They're endorsing these massive companies. They're superstars. They're driving around in Bentleys and Maseratis.
So there's a pathway.
There's a pathway, exactly. There's a pathway. We don't have a pathway in England and in most countries. I mean, in France you do. Germany you do. Absolutely. And, there's full-time programs. There's 3,000 professional full-time coaches in France. There is 3,000 full-time table tennis centers. How many have we got here? 30?
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it?
And so what I'm trying to say is that, yes, I agree with everyone's points, but ultimately we haven't built a structure for the future generations to go, oh, this is the future for me. And the reason why I love table tennis so much is because when I went to London Progress as a young kid, I saw the top boys playing in front of a small crowd, and I was like, I can see a future here for me. So I felt encouraged and motivated to go further. But if I continued staying in my local little club, which was in a little synagogue with 3 tables and very low level players, probably today you wouldn't see me play table tennis anymore, because there wasn't anywhere to grow. I think that's the most important part, and I think that's where Elroy is right.
So it's trying to work out, or some of these governing bodies to work it, to get it to a stage where what is the bigger picture?
Yeah, and it's not that hard, if I'm really honest with you. I mean, all you need to do is go and look
for all these youngsters and players. What is the bigger picture? And putting them on that path to saying, well, look, here's where you are. Yeah. Here's where you could be.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to say to you, I saw the program yesterday, the ping pong show, and they had 4 youngsters on there, and it was so sad for me. It was so sad. I mean, they're winning national championships, and Table England don't even just give them a call and say, "Hey,"
and say, "Well done."
Well done. It's unbelievable. Oh my God, I felt so.
I did. I felt sorry for it as well. I was like, "What's going on with that?"
It's unreal. It's unreal. Whether they're in the squad or not, who gives a rubber? Who gives a crap? Give them a tap on the back and say congratulations.
Yeah, do something. Yeah, Jesus. And yet. And they're still so keen.
Yes, and they're still playing.
Still so keen, and yet they don't get not even a well done, guys, or anything like that. It's quite bizarre, isn't it?
It's a sad situation, and this is one of the reasons why me personally, I try my best to promote the sport as much as possible to show people that there is a pathway. Not everyone can do it, but there is a pathway, and a lot of my friends and the non-table tennis people, they're like, how you made a career out of something that you can't make a career out of? My wife was an estate agent, and they think that she's the breadwinner. Well, in fact, I actually earn a lot more than her. But in their minds, he can't be earning any money. You're taking care of your husband. In a way,
Yeah.
I can kind of understand how top players give up, because they've put all this time, they've had a goal of being a professional player, they don't quite make it. And it's hard to go from a goal of being a professional player to just kind of playing locally in British League and Grand Prix. But I don't really get why your kind of, average player gives up. Your average player who never had goals of being a professional player, and I think the system does cater for average players. I mean, I don't know.
Possibly one of those reasons, because they've got no system, no goals, so they're not keen to improve. And they go into every season, who's going to win the league, who's going to get relegated, and so there's
and it's very expensive now to play these tournaments.
Exactly. Yeah, there is that. It is quite expensive. I mean,
it's not an easy question, is it?
Really? No, it's a tough one. That
only for reasons. Yeah.